What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. One of the biggest surprises for me at E3 2021 was Redfall. This is a title I wasn't expecting to see anything about at E3, and honestly, I'm so glad that I saw Redfall. I'm so glad that this was shown off at E3 2021, and I want to talk, guys, after seeing it, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about Redfall. We can break it down, and I would love to have a real conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, Redfall is, everything that we know about Arcane's co-op vampire shooter. This is an article written by Rick Lane of PC Gamer. One of the bigger surprises of this year's E3, Redfall is a new cooperative shooter from the awesome branch of Arcane, the studio behind games like Dishonored and Prey. So obviously, they say it's a cooperative shooter, guys. Kind of, I start thinking in my mind about, obviously Rainbow Six Extraction. That's another co-op game. And there's more and more of these that are going to be coming out, these cooperative shooters. I think it's awesome, but I would love to see them, kind of evolve Redfall into like multiplayer and having those PvE elements. Obviously, PvP would be great. Co-op is awesome as well, but we'll get to that here shortly. As for what Redfall is, well, that's an interesting question. The reveal trailer Bethesda showed off makes it look like Left 4 Dead with vampires, but a closer look at the available information reveals an intriguing hybrid of Valve's cooperative masterpiece and the design ethos that made Arcane such a highly regarded developer. So the first thing, the release date. Arcane hasn't given us an exact day to expect Redfall, but there is a rough launch window, summer 2022, which is specific enough this far out. So summer 2022, guys, take it with a pinch of salt. It very well may get pushed later on into the year. Let's hope not. Let's hope it stays summer. Obviously, guys, you guys can check out the trailer. Trailer's awesome. Obviously, Xbox Game Pass is going to be hosting Redfall. Redfall is coming to Game Pass on day one. Absolutely awesome. So what's the story here? So while the specifics of Redfall's story are unknown, Bethesda has sketched out the basic plot. According to a reveal page for the game, Redfall is an island town that used to be known for its quaint streets, breezy boardwalks, and charming neighborhoods. Then the vampires moved in and ruined everything. Redfall's vampires are not typical undead bloodsuckers. Instead, the product of a scientific experiment gone wrong. I assume that experiment wasn't, can we make vampires? Because that would be astonishingly stupid. The page also mentions that these vampires have managed to eclipse the sun, which gives us some insight into their power. Obviously, they're not going to die if they get into the sunlight. I love the idea, though, of vampires, though. I think that's a great idea for this title. It gives you, like the Left 4 Dead kind of comes up and you kind of think of that, Dying Light. You think of just like a number of different titles when you start talking, the way that they're explaining Redfall. I'm excited, though, about it, to say the least, guys. I think this could be something really special. Obviously, Bethesda being bought out by Xbox, this is just another reason to get the Xbox, guys. I mean, it's another Xbox exclusive. So Redfall lets you play as one of 4 characters, each with a different backstory and particular set of skills. So Layla Ellison, Devinder Crowsley, Remy De La Rosa, Jacob Bauer are the 5 that, or the 4 characters that you get to choose from. I wonder if they're going to be adding more at some point or another moving forward. But those 4 are what we've got so far. So that's really exciting that you've got a number of different characters. The big question people are comparing Redfall to is Left 4 Dead. And, so obviously, is this the exact same concept? How is this going to kind of differentiate from Back 4 Blood, which is going to be coming out from Turtle Rock Studios? Redfall certainly has a lot in common with Left 4 Dead. Cooperative play, intense action, and undead foe. There are also more specific features Redfall shares with Valve Shooter. For example, there are multiple types of vampire that attempt to hinder your group's progress in different ways. One example seen in the trailer is the Angler, which, according to the reveal page, uses a psychic harpoon to drag you away from your team. In other words, it's a handsomer version of Left 4 Dead Smoker. But there are some crucial differences, chief among which is Arcane's immersive sim heritage. In an interview with GameSpot's Tamoor Hussain, Bethesda's Pete Hines cites an example from Dishonored where the player can use the possession ability to break their fall by possessing a fish before they hit the ground. And that's really interesting, guys. I mean, just some really interesting creative things going on in Redfall, to say the least. Now, another question, a lot of people have been asking, is Redfall an open world game? On Redfall's reveal page, Bethesda explicitly states the game is a co-op open world first-person shooter. That's not all either. In his interview with GameSpot, Hines states that the town will have a dynamic element to it. Every time you play it, you're getting something different. The world is changing from the last time you played it in ways that are meaningful from a gameplay standpoint. Awesome. Can Redfall be played solo though? Yes. In his interview with GameSpot, Pete Hines stated that you can play essentially single player solo it and play it by yourself, or you can play it with other people, which is awesome. And people have been asking, is this, Elder Scrolls 6? Obviously, guys, this is not Elder Scrolls 6 in disguise almost. This is Redfall, and I'm excited about it. Now, one of the big questions for me is are they going to add, multiplayer at some point, PvP elements? That's a big question that I would certainly have for, Bethesda and Arcane. Can you make multiplayer an option where we can have more ways to connect with the franchise? I talk about this ad nauseum, guys, but when we talk about titles that you want to have full packages so you come back to play the experience over and over again, having co-op is great. Having single player is great, but having multiplayer as well and multiplayer elements brings you back to the title over and over again. So I'd love to see that happen here with Redfall. But overall, guys, I'm excited about this title. What do you all think? Let me know in the comment section down below about Redfall. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Redfall content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. So it's been a little while since I talked about Borderlands, and you guys can check out all of my Borderlands content on the YouTube channel. I have covered Borderlands for quite some time, and I obviously want to talk about this franchise. As a whole, guys, Borderlands is so unique in a number of ways, and it's a franchise I definitely want to see continue into the future. But I gotta be honest, I am concerned about Borderlands 4 or whatever the next upcoming title would be in this franchise. Not so much from a sales perspective, but seeing such a drop-off in the player base, and obviously with the competition that's coming in a rapid rate, every single day it's almost like we're hearing about new games coming out that are going to try to take, some of those fans away from certain games to play, the current stuff that's coming out, right? And Borderlands has a very solid fan base, to say the least, but that still doesn't get around the fact that there is a big drop in the player count as far as Borderlands 3 in particular is what we're talking about here. So let's talk about it. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below. So what is it about Borderlands that is, in my opinion, really, where is it starting to slightly fail the fan base? Well, here's what I'm going to say. When we talk about the sales, guys, so according to the Wikipedia page, so according to publisher 2K, Borderlands 3 shipped more than 5 million copies in 5 days from release. I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, honestly. In addition, the sales of the Microsoft Windows version in this time were the highest for any 2K title to date, and more than 70% of all purchases were made through digital distribution. With these sales, the total Borderlands franchise has made more than $1 billion in revenue. The game had sold more than 8 million copies by the end of 2019, according to Take-Two. Absolutely awesome. Now, let's kind of back up here. When we think of the Borderlands franchise as a whole, so you had the first Borderlands come out in 2009. We had to wait a few years for Borderlands 2, and then obviously a couple years after that for the pre-sequel, and then of course that was from 2014, and we got Borderlands 3 in 2019. Now you had the Tales from the Borderlands as well as the Handsome Collection, but you still had to wait quite a bit for Borderlands 3. Now, when it came out, the reception was pretty, good at first, but then came the problems. So when I talk about problems, guys, a lot of it has to do with just what feels like a lack of innovation. Sure, they have, so much within the Borderlands franchise has been based upon, obviously having so many different ways to customize your weapons and having attachments and just all kinds of, things of that nature. And that's awesome. But I feel like it started to kind of where other areas were starting to lack, whether we're talking multiplayer, whether we're talking about the story itself. The story of Borderlands 3, in my opinion, was pretty lackluster versus some of the other titles. Now, obviously, the sales of Borderlands 3 were great, but I think what ended up happening was that Borderlands 3 started off so good because there was so much hype built around it, and then it's kind of come back down to earth in a major way. And so my concern is more, what about Borderlands 4? What about the future of the franchise? Obviously, we haven't got an announcement of it. Gearbox is not really talking much about what the future of Borderlands is going to be. They kind of have stated that they want to stick with Borderlands 3 for the long haul, which I think is a good thing because they want to make sure that they refine and make everything as good as possible with Borderlands 3. But where does that leave us for the future? I mean, you sell the most out of any Borderlands title, yet your player base drops off significantly. You're getting a lot of, criticism based around the lack of innovation, the storytelling. You had a ton of technical issues as well. Sure, a lot of those things can be fixed with time, but is Gearbox kind of telling us something when they say, hey, we're not going to be really working on much other Borderlands stuff outside of Borderlands 3 for the foreseeable future? Does that tell you that they're moving on after Borderlands 3 to another, maybe a brand new title, brand new IP? I think Borderlands needs to continue, not just as a trilogy, but I just think it needs to continue in the long run. Having a single player story is fantastic. Having multiplayer brings people back to the game, and having co-op is going to keep you playing with your friends. So having a full package, I think, is so important for Borderlands 4 whenever that game comes. Because in my mind, even though I'm concerned that it may never happen, the thing in my mind that's leading me to believe that we will at least get one more Borderlands title is because of the sales. I mean, the sales were spectacular, absolutely mind-blowing. I never thought that it would sell, 5 million copies in 5 days. That just shows you how far Borderlands has come. But when you're having issues, a lot of people are going to jump ship. And then when you start hearing that they don't know what that future of Borderlands is going to be, a lot of other people are going to start kind of wondering in their mind, hey, maybe I need to check out some new games or something of that nature. So I just, for the sake of Borderlands and for the fan base and the franchise as a whole, I really hope we get a Borderlands 4, but that's where I get a little bit concerned, is when you see those drop-offs, when you see where it started to where it is now, it's concerning. It's just concerning for me. I want to hear from you guys. Are you guys concerned about the future of Borderlands, even though it had great sales? I mean, absolutely phenomenal sales. But it had those big issues, right? The storytelling, the technical issues. I mean, the innovation, they just kind of lacked a lot of innovation as well in this one, even though, a lot of ways you can customize with what we expect out of a looter shooter. But there needs to be more, right? In order for them to continue this franchise. Or is the sales enough? Because at the end of the day, it really just comes down to the dollar amount that they made. And 2K probably already wants to greenlight another title. Gearbox is saying they want to stick with Borderlands 3 for the foreseeable future. So what does that mean for the franchise? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Borderlands 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Gotham Knights and what this game could very well all entail, and I would love if you guys would check out the other Gotham Knights content on the YouTube channel. We're creating more and more content around this game, guys, and I would love to hear from all of you whether or not you want to hear more about Gotham Knights as we get closer to launch. I want to talk about everything that we know now about this title. We can break it down and have a real conversation about it. So let's get into it. In an article written by Matthew Ford as well as Vic Hood of Tech Radar, Gotham Knights is now expected in 2022. Gotham Knights is going to be Batman Arkham Origins developer WB Games Montreal's return to the Batman universe, and it's safe to say it's highly anticipated. In Gotham Knights, it'll be entirely up to you whether you play through your adventure on your own or with a friend in 2-player co-op. Either way, you'll be able to switch seamlessly between the game's 4 heroes and make the most of their powers. So you keep hearing the words co-op. So co-op, guys, is definitely something that they're going to be focusing on with this title. First announced in 2020 with the 2021 release, Gotham Knights has since been delayed in 2022 so that its development team can have more time to deliver the best possible experience for players. We hear this all the time now, guys, but take 2022 with a pinch of salt because there's a good chance that it might get pushed back at some point or another. Hopefully not, but don't, take 2022 as gospel, right? So it'll be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, as well as PC. So this is a new Batman game starring Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. 2022 is the expected release date, and obviously the consoles that I just mentioned are what we're going to be able to play it on. Gotham Knights was officially announced during DC Fandom on August 22nd, 2020. A release date was then slated for sometime in 2021, and obviously the game was delayed into 2022. So the action-packed first Gotham Knights trailer shows our 4 vigilantes receiving a posthumous call from Bruce Wayne declaring Gotham unsafe and the GCPD distrustful, while also leaving behind all his files and a base of operations to help keep the city safe. Simultaneously, a child's voice can be heard saying, "No one talks about them, not a whisper word is said, for if you try to crush them, then the Talon strikes you dead." Now, this refers to the deadly assassins known as Talons, which were first introduced back in Batman 2 in 2011. So, a new addition to the series is the introduction of XP system for leveling up characters, meaning all thugs will possess a number above their head, giving players an idea of their difficulty. This grows as the player increases in power and ability, so that foes keep pace throughout. This game reminds me a lot of the Avengers, right? Marvel's Avengers. And so when we're thinking about that, and that had a lot of problems, I'm hoping Gotham Knights doesn't have nearly the problems that Marvel's Avengers had. But it kind of gives you that same sort of vibe. The trailers are awesome for Gotham Knights, guys. If you guys haven't seen them, you definitely should. I'm really excited about this title. I've always kind of grown up a DC fan. Not that I don't love Marvel. I think Marvel has done incredible with their movies. The movies have really put a spotlight on those superheroes, right, as well as the supervillains. DC hasn't done as good of a job with the movie side of things, but from a game perspective, I'm really excited about this one. Gotham Knights is an open-world action RPG that allows you to play as 4 characters: Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. Each of these characters has their own playstyle and abilities. Batgirl is trained in a variety of fighting styles and is also well-versed in technology and coding. Nightwing is a master of acrobatics and carries his iconic dual sticks. Robin is an expert fighter who carries a quarterstaff and is trained in stealth, while Red Hood is strong and proficient in a manner of weapons. Awesome. Really excited about that. Now, what I will tell you guys is that we didn't get anything new explained to us at E3 2021, but there will be obviously a DC fandom that's going to be making a return in 2021, which is going to be October 16th, where we're probably going to get a lot more information about this game. Hopefully. I mean, it's not for sure yet, but I'm hoping that we're going to see more from, obviously, Gotham Knights. Now, it was during the 2020 iteration of the show that Gotham Knights was first announced, so it seems very possible that fans could receive an update on the game during this year's show. Alongside Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, it's one of the major superhero games that DC has in the works. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is another one I'm really excited about. Obviously, we're going to have to kind of wait and see as we go. Now, once again, I talked about co-op in the beginning. Let's talk about that some more. So, Gotham Knights executive producer Fleur Marty has revealed that the combat system for its upcoming Batman game, Gotham Knights, has been designed with 2-player co-op in mind. According to Marty, players should expect something slightly different to WB Montreal's previous Batman game, Arkham Origins, explaining that they have entirely redesigned the combat system in order for it to work well in co-op. That gets me a little bit concerned when you're trying something totally new and, obviously you haven't really messed with that much with the other Batman titles. That's a little bit concerning, but I love the innovation that they're constantly trying to get better and, expand the lore and everything of, this universe. I love that, even though it's a little bit concerning when you hear that. Now, despite this focus on co-op, there will still be some flexibility in how Gotham Knights can be played. According to Marty, it'll still be possible to play Gotham Knights entirely solo, and the co-op element is conveniently drop in, drop out, so you're not entirely dependent on another player, which is awesome, because there's a lot of times that I'm really not going to want to play, with someone. I may want to just play by myself, and that's going to be, that's perfect. Even with that flexibility, though, the game and spirit of the team-up is important to the overall game, as creative director Patrick Redding said. The two-player dynamic fits the fantasy in the Gotham City setting. The duo or team-up is such a central feature of the universe that there's a literal shorthand for it in the comics and animation in the film and TV versions. Huge question people are asking, is Batman really dead? The biggest rumor circling the web is that Batman is not actually dead. Rather, the world's greatest detective has gone into hiding to infiltrate the Court of Owls before being revealed alive in the later portions of the story. This is some credibility just going off the history and general popularity of The Dark Knight alone. WB Games Montreal has not stated that Bruce Wayne is dead either, just Batman. Very interesting. I'm excited to see what they decide to do there. Now, another rumor pertains to the release date. On Christmas Day, the official Gotham Knights Twitter account posted a Happy Holidays image from the team at Warner Bros. Games Montreal, which includes presents, a gym setup, and most notably a poster dedicated to the Flying Graysons. For those that are unaware, the Flying Graysons were a group of trapeze artists and Robin's family members that were ultimately killed, leading to the latter becoming a crime fighter. The poster in question has a touring date of Tuesday, July 16th to Sunday, July 2nd, with many believing one of these to be the release date for the game. This is purely speculation, as neither of those dates land on a Tuesday or a Sunday in 2021, plus the game has now been delayed until 2022. So, absolutely awesome. We've got America Young. She is going to be voicing Batgirl. Sloan Morgan Siegel is Robin. You've got Christopher Sean, who is playing Nightwing. Stephen Young is voicing Red Hood. Gilbert Jackson is voicing Alfred. Very exciting, guys. So, the choice to go without an already existing Batman voice actor further confirms Warner Bros.' commitment that Gotham Knights is set in a different universe from past titles, so we wouldn't expect the likes of Mark Hamill's Joker to manifest. That is, even if the clown Prince of Crime turns up at all. So, we'll see what happens, guys, but I gotta tell you, from what we know so far about this title, I'm pretty excited about it. Being a DC fan, this is great because this is just more content that we can take in. Having so much content is a great thing. Having Gotham Knights and then having Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, those are going to give us so much more content in these universes moving forward while we're waiting for more movies or while we're waiting for more games or whatever the case might be. This is going to give us so much extra content to absorb and take in. I'm really excited about it. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited about Gotham Knights? Let me know. And for more Gotham Knights content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. If you're familiar with my YouTube channel, you know that I absolutely love horror movies, horror games, and it's one of my favorite genres, guys, without a doubt. And with that being said, when the talks and then the trailer came out for Rainbow Six Extraction, I got really, really excited, guys, because there is a lot here, and I definitely want to dive right into it with all of you, because this is quickly becoming one of my most anticipated titles of the future. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it. Let's get into it. So in an article, guys, written by Morgan Park of PC Gamer, what we know about Ubisoft's Siege spinoff, including the release date and hands-on impressions. It's been a long time coming, but Rainbow Six Extraction, not Quarantine or Parasite as it was once titled, which is really weird. I was always wondering, why did they change it to Extraction and not Quarantine when it was Quarantine all along? And by the way, guys, I've made a number of videos and content around this title, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Rainbow Six Extraction. You guys can check out all of that here on the YouTube channel. It's finally on its way, though. We first heard about the game at E3 2019, and 2 full years of silence, Ubisoft re-debuted the game at its E3 2021 Ubisoft Forward show. It's got a lot of good Siege stuff players love, like returning operators, destruction, precise gunplay, and gadgets, plus a boatload of alien zombies that are pretty gross to look at. So, here we go. The best part is that we don't have to wait very long to play it ourselves. Extraction is dropping later this year with 3-player co-op missions that Ubi hopes will keep you busy for a long time. So, the release date. So, as announced by Ubisoft during E3 2021, Rainbow Six Extraction is releasing September 16th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. What is it? So Rainbow Six Extraction is Ubisoft's take on the recently reignited co-op zombie shooter genre similar to Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood. It's 3-player co-op and has no PvP element, but it can be played solo if you so desire. The game is built on the same framework as the PvP game Rainbow Six Siege, which means everything from the guns, movement, and in-game tools will feel familiar if you played the game. So, the first thing that's a real bummer to me is that this is only co-op. You can play single player, but there's no multiplayer, and that's extremely unfortunate to me. Just because, guys, I know we've got Rainbow Six Siege that we can play from a multiplayer perspective, but I feel like this title should definitely have multiplayer in some capacity or another. If you're going to purchase this title, I just feel like it needs to be a full package. And you know me, when I say that, I always talk about the big 3, that being, of course, having a single-player story, multiplayer modes, as well as co-op. This having just co-op, and obviously single-player as well that you can play, is great. But what happens after you beat those co-op missions, after you do that stuff together? They're hoping that it's going to keep you busy for a long time, but what happens if it doesn't? That's the big question. So, obviously, guys, they've had a couple of cinematic trailers as well as some hands-on discussions, which you guys should definitely check out. So missions are partially procedurally generated. So Rainbow Six Extraction is not a procedurally generated game, but bits and pieces of its missions are. Each mission is broken up into 3 sub-map areas, each with its own objective. The layouts of the 12 total maps do not change, but the order in which you play them does. Loads of other details are also randomized, like which objectives you'll be assigned, where on the map they're located, and which alien zombie types will try to stop you. So the operators, this is really exciting too. So far, it looks like all the Rainbow Six Extractions operators will carry over from Siege. We had access to 9 operators in a hands-on demo, but there will be a total of 18 in at launch. Got Sledge, Bana, Ela, Pulse, Doc, Lion, Alibi, Finca, Vigil, Capiteo, IQ, Tachanka, and Nomad. Awesome. Super excited. Those are all of the operators that are obviously playable, but there are a few others seen in cutscenes and cinematics that may or not be playable as well. Ash, Thermite, and Mira. The different mission types, guys, this is what's also, something that's really interesting. We only got to see a few of Extraction's mission types in action during our hands-on preview, but Ubi went into details about how all 11 will work. Players have a chance of getting assigned any of these objectives when loading into a mission. The only exception is the No One Left Behind mission, which is apparently a guaranteed objective if one of the players currently has an MIA operator. Specimen, decontamination, nest tracking, triangulation, serial scan, hunt, rescue, No One Left Behind, shutdown, sabotage, and biopsy. Pretty awesome names, to say the least, as far as the mission types are. So, just as an example, Specimen, you lead a parasite to an extraction zone and capture it alive. Decontamination, you find and gather samples from contaminated parasite nests. Nest tracking is sneak up to and plant trackers on inactive nests without being detected. So all these are just a little bit different in the strategy you take. Some of them kind of remind me a little bit of maybe like Splinter Cell, where you got to use some stealth and such. That's pretty exciting as well. There's a lot of different alien parasites as well, and different types. So you got Ness, Grunt, Bloater, Spiker, Breacher, Sower, Rooter, Lurker, Sticky Spores, and Sludge. I mean, guys, there's so many different names that are coming out. More and more of these games that come out, they're coming up with all kinds of names. It's awesome, though, that you have all these different, enemy types. That's really cool. So cross-play and cross-progression. So Like pretty much every Ubisoft game nowadays, Rainbow Six Extraction will support both crossplay and cross-progression. Its 6-year-old PvP cousin, Rainbow Six Siege, is also getting crossplay on consoles this year, but PC players won't be joining the party. Ubi didn't mention a similar restriction for Extraction, so it's safe to assume PC players and console players will be able to group up. So here's my big takeaways, guys, from Rainbow Six Extraction. Yes, it's one of my most anticipated games for sure of the future of this year, but some things kind of hold me back from being like, just all out so excited about it because, it doesn't have multiplayer. It doesn't have those PvP elements. I mean, this looks like a game that would be absolutely awesome. Having almost like a horde mode like Gears of War does where you're playing waves and waves of enemies, that would be really cool. I just think having a full package is really important. Now, they talk about these mission types. The question is this a full-blown story? Because I'm hoping it has like a real overarching story, kind of like Resident Evil or something, where we kind of learn and start to understand, how this ties into the Rainbow Six universe. It'll be interesting, guys, to say the least. I'm very excited about it. Even, the landscape of these types of games, when you look at, obviously, Left 4 Dead, it's literally being left behind at this point because Back 4 Blood is coming into the fray. You got Rainbow Six Extraction. You got a number of games coming out, guys, that are definitely trying to take the throne from Left 4 Dead. We'll see if they're successful, but, I do have concerns, but overall, I'm really excited about this title. What do you guys think, though? Are you guys excited about this title? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Rainbow Six Extraction content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.